1, 2, 3, come on.
Come on, come on.
Good morning students, this is PK sir, your chemistry sir, welcoming you on the next part of the chapter, class 7, chapter physical change and chemical change. So in the previous videos, previous parts we have discussed many things about physical change as well as chemical change, and also we have discussed examples of physical change and examples of chemical change in details. So you can see the previous videos in the I button for your revision work also. Later on, now we are going to start some more examples of chemical change to discuss here. See, in the last example we have performed activity 6.6, 6.7 and 6.8. Okay, so in the last video, in the end, I told you that we will be discussing about two more important things, and that is photosynthesis and the second one is respiration. Photosynthesis and respiration. So about photosynthesis, of course in class 6th already you have studied in class 6th, and in primary classes also you have studied this one. It is very easy. First of all, photosynthesis is what? Photosynthesis is the process of making food. The process of making food. The process of making food by green plants. The process of making food by green plants is known as photosynthesis. Now, what are the important things in this definition? In this definition, you see here the important word is, first of all, they make food, means green plants are making their food. But which plants? Only green plants. Only green plants are able to make their own food. It means some important things are required. Some important things are required in making of this food, which is with the help of number 1, carbon dioxide, CO2. CO2 means carbon dioxide. Second, water. Third, sunlight. And fourth, chlorophyll. Okay, so these are the 4 raw materials which are required by plants, to make their own food. If any one of these 4 is absent, photosynthesis is not possible. Okay, in that condition photosynthesis cannot happen. Okay, now we will take one by one. Just carbon dioxide, although this is not the part of chemistry or this chapter, you have to discuss this part in biology part. Okay, but just brief information. Carbon dioxide, so from where plants take carbon dioxide, or what is the availability of carbon dioxide for plants in the nature. So in the atmosphere, all of you know that carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, many gases are present. Okay, out of which carbon dioxide is useful for plants for their food making process. Water, it is available in the ground as groundwater, and from ground that water is absorbed by roots. Okay, So roots are helpful for absorbing water in plants. So this water as well as minerals, along with minerals, are also absorbed by green plants, or by plants through their roots. Okay, next is sunlight from sun available easily, and the chlorophyll, very important component, that is chlorophyll is present. What is chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is a chemical. It is a green pigment. It is called green pigment which is present in leaves of green plants, which is present in, or you can say, in green parts of the plant. So this is a chemical which is present in the green parts of the plant, especially leaves. Okay, so all these four raw materials are required to perform the process of photosynthesis. Okay, now if we want to write is as a chemical change, now you see what is formed in this chemical change, that is important for us. Look here, what are the important things required by plants for this performing photosynthesis? CO2, that is a carbon dioxide gas, then H2O is water, and then in presence of sunlight, so sunlight is also required in the process of photosynthesis. Then chlorophyll, that is present in green parts of the plant, then they form glucose. I am not writing here the formula of glucose because this is not right the time to learn this glucose, and along with glucose oxygen is also prepared in this process. Okay, so this is the reaction, this is the change which is taking place during photosynthesis. Now earlier we have taken two substances, okay, and we got two new substances. If a new substance is formed, then obviously it is a chemical change. So you can say that photosynthesis is a chemical change. Okay, next respiration. Now a very simple question, very basic simple question, that what is the difference between breathing and respiration? What is the difference between breathing and respiration? Breathing is a step of respiration. Respiration is a very big process. It's a multi-step process. Okay, so in this process breathing is also one of the starting step. In breathing, what do? In breathing we take oxygen or oxygen rich air. We take oxygen rich air from the atmosphere and we release out carbon dioxide rich air through our nostrils. So this is called breathing. Okay, but what is the respiration? Respiration means technically we can say the breakdown of food into simpler substances. Okay, in the cell, that is called respiration. So this is the simple definition of respiration, all the information. Next, now why we are discussing this respiration as an example of chemical change, example of chemical change? Look here, whatever we are eating, for example any food item you are eating, in that food item suppose you have glucose in that item, or you can say that suppose you are eating rice or chapati, then carbohydrate is there. This carbohydrate is broken down into small parts and that small part is called glucose. Okay, this carbohydrate is broken down chemically by some chemicals into glucose, and this glucose, the process of respiration take place over this glucose. Okay, so this glucose this glucose in presence of oxygen, this glucose in presence of oxygen breaks down into carbon dioxide plus water and plus energy. This is the energy which we require for our food, which we get from our food. A very basic question is asked in the class 6th or class 7, that why do we eat food? So answer is to get energy. So this is the chemical change. This is the chemical change, that glucose is broken down in presence of oxygen into carbon dioxide, water and energy. So these are some examples of chemical change. The next example is rusting of iron. It is very important. Rusting of iron. Rusting of iron. First of all, I think all of you have seen the rusting. Rusting is a very common thing. You can see here and there the rusted items easily. Look here, this is tripod stand present in chemistry. You can see the color of this tripod stand has changed into reddish brown color. That is due to formation of rust. Also you can see this is the stand. This is the stand present in chemistry lab, available in chemistry lab, and see this part has so many rusting. So this is also another example of rusted material. So many of the iron made objects face this problem, rusting of iron. Okay, now important thing is that what is the process of formation of rust. Look here, iron plus water. If water is not present directly, then it may be water vapor or steam. Iron plus water plus vapor, iron plus water in form of vapor, and then oxygen. Oxygen means you can write in this way. Now from where this oxygen is coming? That is from air. So in the presence of these three things, iron is rusted, and here we write rusted iron. Rusted iron. Now what is the problem with the rusted iron? Is there any harm? Yes, of course. The quality of iron is compromised. Now the rusted iron is no more stronger as that of iron. So this is the problem with the rusted iron. So the quality of iron is damaged, is compromised in case of rusted iron. Okay, next. Now this is a natural problem. If we are putting the iron in the open air, then we cannot protect iron to get rusted. Then what is the solution? So methods to prevent rusting. These are important. Methods to prevent rusting. Methods to prevent rusting. How to prevent rusting? Means what are the methods, what are the process by which we can prevent rusting of iron. Okay, so for this one, first important method is, see what is the problem. First of all, you see the root cause. What is the main reason of rusting? This one and this one. Okay, so if anyhow, see, iron is present, this one and this one, if one of them is present and another is not present, rusting will not take place. If only water is present, rusting will not take place. If only oxygen is present, rusting will not take place. Both of them should be present for formation of rust. Okay, so if we are able to prevent anyhow, or if we are present to what you call that, stop this coming contact of this part or this part with iron, then you can easily stop rusting of iron. So first method is by applying oil or grease. By applying oil or grease on the part. By applying oil or grease on the part. So if we are applying oil or grease on the part, on this part, then what happens actually in that condition? Air is not able to contact iron substance or iron material, or grease, that is also a chemical, oily chemical, which prevents the contact of iron with oxygen. So next, second one, by painting, by applying painting. You may see many iron objects. Like gates, like iron windows, like panels. These are painted. Why? To prevent the rusting of iron. In this way, the air cannot, or the oxygen cannot come into contact with iron object. So this is the third method. Second method. Third method is by depositing a layer of another metal. Now, what are the another metals? Like zinc, like chromium, like nickel, etc. These are some metals which can be deposited on iron. Okay, so by depositing a layer of another metal on iron made objects or iron made articles. So these are the methods for applying for preventing rusting of iron. Now here one special word is there in your textbook, and that word you should know what is the meaning of that word. Galvanization. What is the meaning of galvanization? You should know. What is this method? Deposition of a layer of another metal over iron surface. If we are using any one of them, then this is simply, but if we are using only zinc as a specific case, then the deposition of zinc on the iron surface is called galvanization. So galvanization is done. In exam question may be asked that which metal is used for galvanization. Answer is zinc. Okay, this is the fourth method. Now the next method is number 4, that is alloy formation. Although alloy formation is not in detail in your textbook, but just brief introduction we should have. Okay, that is the requirement of this level, this standard. Okay, what is this alloy formation? Look here, alloy means what? Alloy, what is an alloy? Alloy means a mixture of two metals or more metals, or metals and non-metals. Although these metals, non-metals words are maybe metals, non-metals, these words may be confusing for you, but you should know this is the right time to learn about these metals, non-metals, etc. Okay, so what is alloy? A mixture of two or more metals or metals and non-metals. Now what is non-metal? Any substance which is not metal, any substance which is not metal, that is not metal, non-metal. Okay, you will be discussing about these all in class next 8th. Okay, alloy formation. So what is the example of alloy? One example, very well example, steel. All of you have seen steel, the substances which are made up of steel, generally if the quality of the steel is good, then it will not get rusting easily. It will not get rusting easily. Okay, I am not able to find a good quality of steel here. Okay, so no problem. Yes, so at last I managed to show you this. This is the steel. Okay, this what you call lock is made up of steel, and this is made up of iron. Now what are the constituents of steel? Iron is present, then carbon is present, then chromium is present, then cobalt is present, then nickel is present, etc. These are the substances which are mixed in iron to make it steel. And what is the special thing about steel? The rusting of iron will not take place over steel. Okay, now the percentage of carbon, chromium, cobalt and nickel in the formation of steel is not important for you at this level. Okay, only you need to know is that steel is an example of alloy. Steel is an example of alloy, and by this method we can prevent the formation of alloy, formation of rusting. Okay, so this is the another method of rusting, to prevent rusting. Yes, so the next topic is crystallization. Okay, 6.4 crystallization. Crystallization is what? What is the meaning of crystallization? First of all, you should know the meaning of crystal. Although it is very good example, already you have seen at your house that what is the meaning of crystal. What is the meaning of crystal? Already you have seen in your house how all of you have seen the sugar crystals which are used for sweetening, sugar crystals. And then also you have seen the particles of salt, okay, sodium chloride salt, which is used for eating purpose. So this is the topic crystallization. Here in your textbook one activity is given there.
Red, a saturated solution of copper sulfate and copper sulfate. First, we will make a supersaturated solution of copper sulfate. Light the spirit lamp. Place the copper sulfate solution on the burner. Heat the mixture. Now keep on adding copper sulfate till no more salt is dissolved. Fasten a thread on a support and suspend it in an empty glass. This thread will act as a nucleation center in the container. Now remove the solution from the burner. Pour the solution in the glass. Leave the glass aside for a few days. We see salt crystals formed on the string.
That activity is activity number 6. Activity 6.9. Activity 6.9. Although this activity has to be performed in the chemistry lab, but again the same problem due to this corona effect, corona period, you are not present in the school campus. Now, what is the conclusion of this activity? That one is important for us. Simply, you just need to take a beaker and pour some water in that beaker, and then you have to drop. You have to put some 2 or 3 drops of concentrate sulfuric acid, dilute sulfuric acid, and then you need to dissolve. Copper sulfate in this one. Now, copper sulfate is blue colored solid substance. It is easily available in chemistry lab. So you make a solution and then you keep on increasing the quantity of copper sulfate in that solution. Okay, and after some time what you see that you are not able to dissolve more amount of copper sulfate in that solution, in that mixture. Okay, so that is the saturation stage. Of that solution. Beyond that, you cannot mix more amount of copper sulfate in this solution. Okay, now if you start boiling it, and then when maximum amount of dissolved copper sulfate is reached, okay, then you stop heating and then stir it and cool it, okay, up to the normal temperature. Then after some time you will see there are some crystals present of copper sulfate. Even if they are not present, you are not able to see crystals, you should wait for some time, because sometimes the temperature of that beaker or the contents in that beaker is still higher than the expected value. Okay, so after some time surely you will see the crystals of copper sulfate. So the formation of crystals of this copper sulfate, that is called crystallization. Okay, so this is the process, this is the chapter, that is the end of the chapter. So in this chapter we have discussed many things. Keep revising all the things, okay, and the problems, that is exercise of the chapter, if you have, then you write in comment section. If anyone is having any problem in exercise, write in comment section. If many problems are there, then I will make a separate video on problem solving. Okay, so that is the end of the video, that is the end of the chapter. Keep revising the previous videos, and till then take care. Next video, bye bye.